The Kingdom of Solar had recently gotten a new engine. This engine's name was Keanu, and he had been saved from scrap by another engine named Douglas, and had been brought to the Kingdom of Sodor along with a coach named Isabel and a brake van named Toad. Keanu was great at keeping the troublesome trucks in order. However, he wasn't the only new addition to the Solar Kingdom. A new narrow gauge engine had recently been finished at the Steamworks. This engine's name was Ivo Who. Ivo Who was red, had the number 7, and was known for being pretty strong. He handled long freight trains with ease, but it wouldn't be long before he would learn how to handle coaches and passengers. An engine on the narrow gauge railway named Sir Handel was known for having a tough time with coaches. This is because when Sir Handel had first come to the Solar Kingdom, he had insulted the coaches and called them cattle cars. This insult stayed in the coaches' memories to this day, and whenever Sir Handel would have to take the coaches out, they would always treat him with suspicion. And there would be times when they would pay him out even if he was behaving himself. Just recently, Sir Handel had to brake because some sheep had strayed onto the line, but the coaches thought he had bumped them on purpose, so they bumped him back and derailed him. Sir Handel was still fuming about this. He had to go to the Steamworks to get a wobbly wheel inspected. He wished he could pay the coaches out, but knew that would only make things worse. So when Ivo Who was finished and came to work on the railway, Sir Handel realized he may have a chance. One day, he and Ivo Who were waiting at Croven's Gate Station for their goods to be unloaded. "It's been nice pulling goods trains," said Ivo Who, "but the trucks are rather poor company. I can't wait till I can pull some coaches. Maybe then I'll have some rolling stock and cargo that are grateful for what a great job I do." Sir Handel looked at Ivo Who. "Fair warning, Ivo," he said. "Coaches can sometimes be just as much trouble as trucks, so you need to put them in their place, just like you would with trucks." "Really?" said Ivo Who. "Yes," said Sir Handel. "Just the other day, while you were still being worked on at the Steamworks, I had to come in to get a wobbly wheel fixed. That was thanks to the coaches bumping me off the rails." "They did that?" said Ivo Who. "Were they carrying passengers at the time?" "Unfortunately, yes," said Sir Handel. "Thankfully, none of the passengers got hurt, but those coaches could care less, apparently, about the passengers." Just then, the workmen arrived to unload Ivo Who and Sir Handel's freight cars. The two engines were allowed to go to the shed. "We'll continue this conversation when we get to the shed," said Sir Handel, as the two engines puffed away. The next day, it was time for Ivo Who's first passenger train, and he and Sir Handel were going to have to take it together. But rather than double-heading the train, Sir Handel was at the front and Ivo Who was pushing from behind. The coaches weren't pleased to be riding with Sir Handel, but Sir Handel had told them to behave themselves so they could make a good impression for Ivo Who. But this only made the coaches think that Sir Handel was being bossy. A few minutes later, another new engine came to the standard gauge platform with a long train full of trucks and some coaches. But there wasn't much time to introduce themselves to the new engine. The guard's whistle blew and Sir Handel and Ivo Who set off with their coaches full of passengers. One of the parts of the narrow gauge line that runs alongside the standard gauge line is Green Hills Junction. Here, there's a landmark known as the Man in the Hills. Earlier, Thomas had been puffing through with some troublesome stone trucks. The trucks had been rocking from side to side, sending stones flying out. By the time Thomas had passed the man in the hills, a small pile of stones had fallen onto the adjacent narrow gauge line. The track was blocked. Meanwhile, Sir Handel and Ivo Who were approaching Green Hills Junction. The coaches were becoming cross. "Pick up the pace, Sir Handel," they shouted. "Your slow puffing is making Ivo Who bump us." Sir Handel was becoming annoyed with the coach's complaints. Suddenly, he saw the rocks on the track up ahead. "Stop! Stop!" he shouted, but the coaches misunderstood. They thought Sir Handel was saying stop to make them shut up and stop complaining. Sir Handel applied his brakes and stopped a few inches from the pile of rocks. But the sudden stop caused the coaches to be bumped. "He's bumped us again. Let him have it." And before anyone could react, the coaches surged forward and they pushed Sir Handel into the pile of rocks, causing him to come off the rails. Sir Handel was furious. Ivo Who was cross. The passengers were very upset. The passengers scrambled out and started yelling at the coaches. "You stupid things," they shouted. "Look what you've done. Now we're going to be late to get back to the station." Not to mention, Sir Handel has a broken side rod, his wheel's been cracked, and his bumpers are bent, and "Oh, shut up, you fusspots," shouted the coaches. The passengers were very offended. This made Ivo Who crosser than anyone. "That's it," he said, and he uncoupled from the train and reversed back to the bend. "Well, what are you doing?" said Sir Handel. "Wait, hold on, stop!" But it was too late. The passengers barely had time to get clear before Ivo Who charged forward. And he rammed into the coaches hard. "Oh!" cried the coaches. "Ow!" The sound could be heard for miles. Ivo Who realized his mistake immediately. The passengers were more upset than ever. "You silly engine," they shouted. "Now we're going to be even more late getting back to the station because you derailed all the coaches." "Oh no," said Ivo Who. The big buffer bashing and derailment had definitely scared the coaches straight. It was over an hour before Edward finally arrived with Rocky to help clean up the mess. Some of the narrow gauge engines were sent to assist as well. Peter Sam brought the narrow gauge breakdown crane. Rusty came to take Sir Handel to the works. And Duke arrived to take the coaches away. They were all very cross at Sir Handel, the coaches, and Ivo Who for being responsible for this whole catastrophe. "Impudent scallywags," said Duke. "Engines and coaches causing derailments? Huh! The old days could not have been more better." "Sir Handel and Ivo Who," said Edward, "I'm very disappointed in you. Sir Handel, you put the bad ideas into Ivo Who's funnel, the wrong ideas, and well, you should have known better, even if you were upset at the coaches for jumping to conclusions. Ivo Who, you shouldn't let Sir Handel be a mentor to you like that, trying to convince you that coaches should be put in their place. That is not acceptable. As you can see, it leads to disaster like this. You can return to the shed at once," said Edward. Ivo Who sighed and puffed away. Edward then looked at the coaches. "As for you lot," he said, you've been worse. You jump to conclusions like total idiots, and you risked hurting your passengers today, as well as the last time you bumped your handle off the rails, and maybe all the other times before that, too. The coaches felt bad. I will be in no rush to have you lot repaired, said Edward. But if we're not repaired, said the coaches, how will we carry passengers? You won't be, at least not for a while. I know another way I can put you guys to use. Another way? What would that be? You'll see soon enough, said Edward. In the meantime, passengers, you can board this coach and I'll take you back to the station, even though we're pretty much extremely late. The rest of you can stay and help clean up this mess. Once the passengers had boarded Edward's coach, he took them away back to the station, and the little engines went to work clearing up the mess. As Ivo Who made his way back to the shed, he passed alongside a river and kept looking down at his reflection. He felt more and more terrible about what he had done as he went down the line. Ivo Who soon had to wait at a junction for Duncan to pass through. As Duncan approached, he saw Ivo Who's sad face. "What's the matter, Ivo Who?" he asked. "Are you feeling alright?"
I'm not so sure anymore. I keep looking at my reflection, and I don't know who I am. There's a problem knocking at my door. I'm overthinking everything, and I wish it would just stop. I'm not sure who I am anymore. It's confusing, and I'm losing who I thought I was or was not. Who knew that I could get this far away from who I used to be? Lately, I feel so torn apart, and I just don't know. Who is me? Who is me? Who is me? I just don't know. I really wanted to try something new. My reds are turning green, and all my greens are turning blue. Oh! I thought that robe would make me feel so cool, but now it's turned me inside out, and I feel like a fool. Who knew that I could get this far away from who I used to be? Lately, I feel so torn apart, and I just don't know. Who is me? Who is me? Who is me? I just don't know.
Wow, seems like you've had a rough day. You don't know what rough is. Oh, I think I do. Did something happen to you today? Oh, you bet something happened. I was pulling a long train of freight cars with coaches and fuel tankers at the front. Hey, yeah, I saw you at Croven's Gate earlier today. You were getting ready to leave with that long train. Yes, but something went terribly wrong. What happened? Well, my driver was ill, so a relief driver had to be called, but when my fireman was helping my sick driver out of the cab, they accidentally opened my regulator, and I started off without them. I became a runaway down the line with coaches filled with passengers, full fuel tankers, and lots of troublesome trucks. Goodness me, that's awful. That's terrible. But you look like you're still in one piece. Did you not crash? Thankfully I didn't. My friend Keanu, or as he's gonna be called now, Oliver, he managed to chase me down and get the relief driver into my cab before I had an accident. Really? Wow, that's incredible. It was. But I still feel pretty terrible that I put those passengers' lives in danger. If I had just left the coaches and pulled the trucks instead, the situation wouldn't have been quite as bad. Well, at least those passengers were saved along with you. Yeah, but still, I feel terrible about it. Well, at least you didn't derail anything. You didn't derail anything, did you? Well, a couple of my trucks at the end came off the rails during the chase, but that was it. Well, at least your coaches didn't derail. Unlike the ones I was pushing and Sir Handel was pulling. And Ivo Who explained how the coaches had bumped Sir Handel off the rails and how he had bumped the coaches back and derailed them. Goodness me, that was so unprofessional. I know, I realized it too late. So, I imagine you got in trouble, huh? Oh, you bet I did. The two engines sat in silence for a few moments. I may have been saved, and I didn't really get into trouble for becoming a runaway and endangering the passengers, but I don't know if I could pull trucks or coaches ever again after the scary experience. Coaches, I don't want to risk putting passengers' lives in danger. And trucks, they could be dangerous since the troublesome trucks were trying to push me even when I was already a runaway. Yeah, that is pretty tough, rough, hard, whatever else there is to say. But at least the fiasco wasn't your fault. My wrongdoing was all on me, and I don't know if I'll be trusted again for coaches or even trucks or anything. Well, we ought to just face the facts. We made some mistakes, but we just gotta move on and try again and do better. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, no one is perfect. Yeah, no one's gonna know right from wrong from the very start. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole point of coming into existence, I guess. We are gonna make mistakes, but while that's not always a good thing, it's what helps make us learn new stuff and help us do better in the future. And when we make mistakes, we can dwell on them for a while, but at the same time, it helps us learn and we can do better in the future, hopefully, like you and me. Now, I like to hope that you won't end up running off on your own again. Yeah, I hope so too. But I'm sure that your near disaster is not gonna have you fired from any jobs, cause it wasn't your fault. It wasn't really anyone's fault, even if the driver and fireman accidentally opened the regulator. That was hardly in their control. And well, at least the fireman hopefully knows now what the regulator does. Yeah, I'm sure he does. And well, you couldn't help that the coaches were being rude to Sir Handel. And well, they may have deserved a bump, but not as big of one that you gave them. But at least you learned your lesson while you were young and still had a lot to learn. I personally would have been embarrassed if I had made that mistake even after my several years of service on different railways. So, I guess, to sum it all up in a few words, we're really useful no matter how many mistakes we make, because at least we know we can learn from them. Yes, that sounds about right. I never got your name. Alila. Ivo Who. You probably saw it on the side of my tank by now. Yes, I did. Well, thanks for the talk, Alila. You've made me feel better. I gotta thank you for stopping by. I probably wouldn't have been able to feel better myself if I didn't have someone to talk to. That's what I like to see and hear, said King Edward as he reversed into the shed. Two engines helping each other feel better and ready to move on and try again. Ivo Who, I'm sure you've learned your lesson by now, so I will let you pull passengers tomorrow. Pull passengers, you say? So, you mean I'm gonna be on my own doing it? I'm afraid so, said Edward. Sir Hannah will be out of action for a couple of days, so you'll have to manage on your own. I trust you won't make any mistakes. I'll do my best not to, said Ivo Who. Very good, said Edward. And Elila, I'd like you to go help with some shunting at the docks. Right away, Your Majesty, said Elila, and she puffed away. After that, Elila and Ivo Who happily went back to work and learned from their mistakes and did much better. Elila does not mix trucks with coaches now. She knows that that's not a safe combination. Even so, Elila and the other engines don't have to worry too much about the trucks causing trouble. During the rescue, Keanu, or Oliver, had accidentally smashed the troublesome truck's leader, Scruffy, to pieces. Scruffy could not be salvaged after the accident, so his remains have been sent to be scrapped. This had scared the rest of the troublesome trucks quite a bit, and they were careful not to cause too much trouble, in fear they might face the same fate as Scruffy. Two trucks, however, had shown that they were not troublesome at all. They were trucks that had been on Elila's runaway train, and they had been grateful when Oliver had helped save the day. Their names were Zella and Harry, and they became quick friends with Oliver, Toad, Isabel, and everyone else. Ivo Who swiftly returned to passenger duties and took care not to bump the coaches even if they were empty. The passengers quickly forgave him for his wrongdoing, and he quickly became popular among them. As for the coaches that had derailed Sir Handel, King Edward had had them moved to a farm on Thomas's branch line where they were going to be used as hen houses for the new chicks that were about to be born. Even after the hens had laid the eggs and the chicks had hatched, the coaches had to stay at the farm until the chicks got old enough. Hopefully by then, they will have learned their lesson. And other than that, all was well in the kingdom of Sodor.